Thank you so much. And those are some of the books I've done, and these are some of the companies I've worked with. 80% of the Fortune 500. I had ran out of space, but most recently with Oracle, and Intel just hired me to do a worldwide webinar for all their leaders and employees. So I keep busy. I love it. I love every bit of it, and have been doing it for 25 years and still love it. So that's a good sign, right? And that's our cue. Here we go. So, you know, Richard Branson once said, "If you take care of your people, they'll take care of your business." And I think this kind of sums it all up. And as Zach was just saying, that a lot of times, we're preoccupied with other things, and unfortunately, employees tend to take a lower berth and maybe not get to them at all. I had actually, and please send in questions you have. One of the first questions we got was, why, if we hire people and we pay them, why isn't that enough? And I've heard that my whole career, and I don't know, maybe at one point it was enough, just what you paid people, but very clearly it's not enough today, or even in my experience in doing this in 25 years. We don't just work for money. Money's important. We need money. We got to pay our bills, and but once we're able to pay our bills or live at the standard of living to which we're accustomed, in my experience, most people quickly focus on other things. How are they involved at work? Are they respected? Are they acknowledged? Are they thanked? Are they encouraged? Do they matter? Are they excited about coming to work? And do they have part of a great team? Does their manager take time for them? And on and on and on. And delightfully, ironically, the most powerful motivators I've learned from my research, and I did my doctoral dissertation with Peter Drucker on this topic, the most powerful motivators tend to not cost any money at all. So I've been for the longest time going, come on, get with the program. This is not that hard to do. We were talking before this on just, it's not rocket science. And it was Voltaire in 1640 said that common sense often is not common. And that's the case with this topic. It's kind of common sense. Treat people right, think when they do a good job, involve them in decisions, encourage them, help them when you can. Peter Drucker defined management as getting the work done through others, not being a super worker, not doing stuff for people, not taking away assignments because they didn't handle it and doing it for them. It's getting the work done through others. That means being there for them. and as you do that and you show that in your behavior, you will get the best from them. They'll be more engaged and take on more work. They will definitely stay longer. In research I've seen and done, this has a huge impact on retention if you just do these simple things I'm going to share with you today. In fact, seven times higher retention for employees that feel they're in a culture of recognition, where they're acknowledged when they do a good job. We're publicly, privately, we're always catching people doing things right. We celebrate successes, that type of culture. If you're part of that type of culture, you're 5 times more likely to feel valued, 6 times more likely to talk about your company in high regard as agency to others, 7 times more likely to stay with the company for your career, 11 times more likely to be fully committed to your job, to your manager, to the mission of the organization. Just huge benefits and payoffs for doing these no-cost items that I'm going to share with you. So it's been an interesting ride. It's been a fun ride, but I've also been curious why so many companies don't get it, and they end up doing stuff they've done since 1940, or they say we got to improve motivation. Who's got an idea? Well, this is what they did at our last company. Some old let's do something for birthdays. Let's do a holiday party. Let's do years of service awards, which 92% of companies do. I've never met a person that stayed a day later in their job to get their 10-year pin, but man, we're spending a lot of money on making that happen. Here's a thought. Stop doing stuff just because you've always done it. Start from scratch. Talk to your people. Ask them what they most want. And do those things when they perform as you want them to. Desired behavior and performance. There you go. We're done. That's the whole webinar right there. Start with your people. Don't assume you know. Ask them what they need to feel recognized and valued when they do good work, do a good job, and then take that seriously. And a lot of people say, well, if we do that, they're going to ask for more money, and they might. They might, especially if they're on the low end of the scale, and then you should look at that and make sure that they're being paid competitively, fairly. But in my experience, most people don't say that. The things that come up today are they want more flexibility, they want more autonomy, they want to be more highly involved in the team and the decisions being made, et cetera, et cetera. We will touch on those. So just kind of some backstory. We got a lot going on in the workplace the last couple of years, the pandemic and whatnot, and the fallout from that, starting with the Great Resignation, which has morphed to other things. But last year, over 50 million U.S. workers quit their jobs. Over 50 million. Well, that's a big trend. That's out of I think there's 180 million. So that's what, coming up on just less than a third of all employees quit their jobs. Yowzer. Now, why? Well, they did that to not so much quitting work, but quitting the job, taking another job switching. It's a big part of this, primarily in the hospitality sector, which has had 4 times the turnover of any other sector. Again, big impact from the pandemic. And people realize, hey, this lousy job I got, getting minimum wage, now suddenly my life's at risk, and then people are yelling at me because I'm telling them it's our policy that to ask people to wear a mask. Where's your manager? They're not paying me enough to have this much hassle, and so they walked and they tried to find another job, and that's been most of it. But also the early retirements. Over 5 million people left the job market early because their 401ks did pretty well over the pandemic. And then if they had a house, that their house appreciated substantially over the pandemic. I think our house almost doubled in value. It's like, wow, but across the country, real estate. So if you have, assets and stocks, then yeah, we're good enough. We can retire, and so a lot of people did. And also these were people at risk, the older employees. If you're 92% of those that died from COVID in our country were over 50 and continue to be, as we still have over 500 people a day die from COVID. It's not over. And caregiving, that of 3.5 million women who quit the pandemic when their kids now are being schooled online and they got to be there to supervise. 2 million have not rejoined the workforce because it's still going on. They still childcare is expensive. My son lives in Seattle. They've got my first granddaughter, Louise Claire, now 1.5. They would look at job care. Unbelievable, $32 an hour. Well, that's 66,500 a year. Sign me up, it's that's wow, and so there's a lot of people who say, hey, I'll just stay home and take care of the kid, and maybe I could take care of a couple of the neighbors' kids, and now I'll do, make money doing this, and a lot of people are doing that. So so this is the backdrop on what's going on, and the reality is that we've morphed towards this hybrid work environment. 42% of U.S. workforce, mainly the professional ones, worked from home during the pandemic. 40% said are now asking workers to return to the office. Apple just said everyone's got to come back 3 days a week, et cetera, et cetera. between 3 and 5 days a week is the current norm, but it's being pushed. More companies are trying to get everyone to come back, and if you're in the middle America, that's already happened. That expectation, you got to be back in the office, and in higher density cities, there's still leeway for working from home. 61% of those that work from home say they'd like to continue working from home indefinitely. Okay. Well, that's a sign of things to come. And 50% of US workers say that their job can be done completely remotely. So what's the big deal about getting back to the office? I think my wife, she was hired as a virtual employee, and loves it, absolutely loves it. And she said, well, if they make me start coming to the office, that's it, I'm quitting. And she can get another job pretty easily, actually. And they ask people to come in, and okay, 1 day a week, okay, for meetings. And then she did it, and I was like, I got there, and the same people I've been working with for a year on Zoom, now that here they are in person around the table, except for one person's coughing. And why are we doing this? And then even not counting the commute, working from home has proven to be more productive for people attracted, and I've done that with employees. So it's be careful what you ask for, because you might get people coming in, but then they have some resentment, and they're looking for another job that isn't as ironclad on, we got to go back to how it was. Do we? Okay. And 32% say they'd like to work from home permanently. And there's a lot of companies, by the way. In fact, I just got a link to worldwide companies that are 100% virtual employees. If you want that, email me, I'll send it to you. So there's a lot of companies that have figured out, well, if we, it's hiring right now is really hard, really hard. There's there's two people for every job opening in America. We have 11 million current job openings. It is hard to fill jobs. It's hard to fill and retain employees. So one of the ways to make the barriers less is to, if you can, allow for people to work from home. If not always, then couple 3 days a week. But anyway, that's going to be your company's decision. But I think it's relevant, because in this whole mix of things, I read this quote. I think there's a deep-seated anger at the lack of appreciation for the level of work and commitment people give to their job, said Becky Berry, an executive career coach. She went on to say, I have people who are just done. They hate their jobs. Many companies are pushing for the old way, and people are just like, no, I have choices. I'm going to do something else. And so it is. And this is why we're struggling with hiring people and with retaining them. SHRM HR Executive Magazine announced that the leading HR issues for 2023 is retention. And this topic we're on right here, as I already indicated, you will have, if you apply yourself to it and get your leaders to do the same, you'll have 7 times higher retention for your employees. Or if there's one category that's especially important, you'll have that. For example, in hospitals, I work with a lot of healthcare, where 50% of employees are nurses. It's really hard to hire a nurse, really hard to hold on to a nurse. And yet, in the study I just did, we found a direct correlation between the amount of recognition nurses get and how long they stay in a hospital environment that they're working for. We looked at, this was a 3-year study of 60,000 nurses, 60,000 healthcare employees, and we pulled out the nurses specifically, and found that was that straight line correlation. More recognition equals longer tenure. It just right, straight line. It was incredible. So something else I could send you if you're interested. The research from that I did with Dr. Rick Garlick. 67% of employees say their recognition is their top performance motivator. Hey ho, let's give it to them then. Again, it doesn't cost anything to thank somebody personally, publicly, within a note, to just say, I saw what you did. I really appreciate it. Here's the impact that's going to have. This leads directly into making our team goals this quarter, or this is in line with our one of our 4 corporate values that we pride ourselves on. So you give a context, and if you really want to leave a mark, give an emotional charge. Here's how it makes me feel. I was excited for your success. I'm proud you're on my team. Something of you personally, to have a 1-2 punch, even if it's a couple seconds in the hallway. Doing just what I just said provides practical feedback, which everyone needs to do a good job. They can't work in a vacuum, and it provides an emotional charge that says, I noticed and I'm proud of you. And that 1-2 punch you can't beat. And again, no money spent. So the greatest management principle in the world is you get what you reward. Whatever you recognize will be repeated. I hands down guarantee it. We've got perhaps 400 studies that say when it comes to people and performance, this is a truth. This is as real as it gets. So if you do this, this will happen. People will say you'll get a better result from them. So when you get serious about performance, you have to get serious about recognition. Now, I find in all the companies I worked for, of all the sizes, all the industries, everyone's serious about performance. We got to make these numbers. We got to we're trying to do this in our market share. We've got to do this in innovation. They're real clear about the performance they want, but the recognition is kind of loosey-goosey, And what I usually find most common is that these things are what's critical. Here's our strategic objectives for the year, our core values, our team's goals, your KRAs. That's what we need going. And then we recognize over here stuff that's completely unrelated. Holiday parties, birthdays, years of service, employee of the month, which employee of the month sounds like that's performance based. You picked out the best performer. And yeah, if only, how it works is that when you started it, we picked out the best performer. Now we did employee of the month. Each month we're gonna pick the best, person. Wow, Sally knocked it out of the park. She's employee of the month. Everyone, yeah, Sally, all right. What happens is 30 days later, and maybe if it's not a couple months, at least a couple of years, you get to the point where you got a group sitting around a conference table. They say we got to pick some for employee of the month. We just did that. Yeah, 30 days ago. It's a new month. Oh, come on. We got a full agenda. What about Fred and shipping? Well, does he deserve it? Who cares? We're going to be here all day. Come on, let's give it to somebody. And so we give it to Fred. And what's his reaction? I knew if I hung around here long enough, someone would notice me. It becomes a joke, a complete joke. And so now it could be effective. Don't get me wrong, it could be effective, but in most cases, it's not. Whenever I'm in the company and I see an employee of the month plaque, and I'll always go take a look at it. And usually the last entry was was 2003, February 2003, and they dropped off and they didn't do it anymore. And so you got to be in the here and now, catch people. We don't need employees of the month. We need employees of the moment, and we need them every freaking day. This is the task, and to get the message to your leaders that we expect you as a leader. If you're a manager in our organization, we expect you to treat people in this way, to acknowledge them, to respect them, to catch them doing things right, to encourage them, to talk about their career, to talk about their future, to have their best interests at heart. We expect that. If you're not up for that, there's the door, because that's what we're using to drive our success. Because when it comes down to it, people is mainly the main thing you got. I don't care what your technology is, or it's the people that are going to make it happen or not. So everyone wants to be appreciated. From my research, 99.4% of employees expect to be recognized when they do good work. And the one thing different about this, if I'd done it 10, 15 years earlier, the word expect would not be in there. It used to be when I started my journey on this topic, people say, oh yeah, it'd be nice if my boss said something or did something, or yes, upper management, oh, that'd be fantastic, but no, now we took a turn, and now employees expect to be recognized. It's not good enough just to pay them. It's not good enough just for them to do what they're told. They expect that when they do a good job, especially the younger generation, that you say something, you do something. And if you don't, then they get to a point where they go, wow, I busted my butt. I worked through the weekend. I made the goal, and no one said or did anything, including my manager. Why am I hitting it so hard? And they consciously or subconsciously take a step back and don't hit it so hard. I've talked to people that said they just like that, they stopped taking work home. The snide remark at work, just like that, they stopped taking work home. They stopped volunteering for additional assignments. They didn't go the extra mile. They stopped when it was by the clock, not when the job was done. When the clock said it's time to go, they're out of here. And that's the choice of what you get from employees. Now, so almost everybody needs this, and wouldn't you know, 80% of managers feel they're pretty good at this. By the way, they read the One Minute Manager. They know it's important to be positive, and so they know up here that how you treat employees is important, and they should pay attention to that. But they actually don't do it. They don't take it to their behaviors. So what we end up with is a knowing doing gap. People know the right thing to do, but they don't actually do it because they're too busy. Because, well, I could tell you exactly why. Because the 3-year study I did said that why managers do or don't use recognition. The top reason that they didn't, for the managers that didn't use recognition, they said they didn't know how to do it well. Okay, that was the number one reason, followed by they didn't think it was as important as I'm saying it is, followed by they're pretty busy. They're really busy. They don't have time for this. And who has time to do something that they don't think is important, right? So we got a catch-22 right there. Until we raise people's knowledge of the importance of this topic, we won't be able to engage their behavior. So the work starts between their ears, and that you gotta tell them you expect it. You gotta show them what it looks like. You've got to show them the research. You've got to have training if you've never had it on this topic. And well, why would I do training on something that's common sense? Because people aren't doing it. So you got to raise the awareness of saying, hey, we realize that we'd like to be better at this, and so we're going to do a session on what it looks like, and here's I'd be glad to do that for you, or we get someone else. But here's the research. Here's it, and I'll tell you exactly what other busy managers do to make this happen, how they work into their day, and how it becomes part of their behavioral repertoire. And so that then after a while, it's habit. They do it without even thinking. Whenever they're reading mail, they're thinking of looking for good news to celebrate. Whenever they're in a meeting or start a meeting, they start with some type of recognition. When they see people, they immediately think of something positive to acknowledge with them, and it's part of their way of life as a leader. And once they do that, they realize they become a magnet for talent. I worked for a I'm speaking for a company in the auto care industry. I did like 4 years ago, I did a conference talk in Vegas for this big auto care show. I had people in my session that I remember one guy came up to me, you have completely changed how I view my people. I used to constantly view them as just problems and personality challenges and the cost and just a hassle. And now I view them more as an investment. And it's changed how I treated people, and that has led. He contacted me, followed up, that completely redid his company. He had huge success. He went on to be promoted multiple times, and now working at the national level. And he said, "You changed how I view people." And thank you. Yeah, that's what I love doing, because this is a secret sauce that most managers and companies do not take advantage of. So everyone wants it. 80% of managers think they're pretty good at it. How many people get it? 12%. So they're recognized in important ways. 12%. What company could succeed with only 12% of their employees doing their best? Come on. 34%, almost 3 times, said they're not recognized in meaningful ways. The things they do in our company don't speak to me. You have a company party. Here we just finished the holidays. I don't know, had Christmas parties and stuff like that. I know people that, yeah, my wife didn't want to go. Yeah, I remember last year that one guy got drunk and told off the CEO. I was ugly. I don't want to be part of that. It's like, it's the things that we've done historically that we think are motivation and the right thing to do because we've always done them aren't what employees want. Who cares about the Christmas party? Give me the tools I need to do my job as best as possible. Allow me the flexibility to work from home, or the autonomy to run with an assignment, or to maybe select the assignment that I think I can most contribute to our cause. Tap into some of that and then get out of the way. This is the state of things, and right now especially, this works with whether people are in person or virtually, but let me especially speak to the virtual, because there still is a lot of virtual employees, and you might have a mixed, the hybrid type work environment now. So most anything I say that can be done virtually can be done in person as well. But for Employee Appreciation Day, this Friday, March 3rd, take time to personally thank each of your direct reports when they've done good work. Maybe just think on that day or before, and think through and what you could say to John and Mary, and or maybe jot them a note. I did this once for my employees. I had 16 employees, and I took time to think through what they had done over the last year, and I wrote each of them a short letter, kind of summarizing things as I reflected on them on the team, what I was most proud of, what they had done over the last year. I think it took me about an hour to write 16 notes. I gave to people, and 2 of them cried. They were so touched. To me, it was common sense. You did a great job at this, or if there's I couldn't believe how you pulled that out of the dirt, or the and wow, that's why I so value as being a member of my team. I'm so excited about your success and our success together. Powerful message. Site specifics. Now, we know the best recognition is sincere. It's got to be from the heart. Sometimes people aren't good at this. Try it. You can get better at it. Part of the value you bring to it is you be specific. Don't just say everyone's doing a great job. Chances probably everyone isn't doing a great job. A couple of people are doing a fantastic job. Man, the 1 or 2 people maybe you should have gotten rid of already. And sometimes, just a quick aside, sometimes the best way you can improve morale of your whole group is to get rid of the non-performer. Enough said about that. So site specifics as to what they've achieved that made you proud. Specifics give credibility to your messaging, okay, and make it more real, not out of the blue. Everyone's doing a great job doesn't work. So do it personally and publicly, and this is probably the top thing I'd encourage you to do for this Friday. In person, in writing, like a written note, like I said, or an email or a text. Electronically, you can leave a voicemail. In public, in front of the team, or in front of the company, or maybe something in the community, depending on what they did and who they are. Anyone, just in any team meeting, you can and should do recognition. You should start with recognition, is what I'd recommend. So before we dig into the agenda, I just wanted to call out a couple of things that have gone well here this last week, and a couple of people that made those things happen. And maybe before you move on, does anyone else have any praises they'd like to give? Well, it's a great little activity. Take a couple, 3-5 minutes, and it's a great way to start on a positive note, and to start lifting people, and it will bind the group tighter together, guaranteed. And off you go. The best phrases are as soon as sincere, as specific, as personal, as positive, and proactive as possible. In fact, if you when I send you your book, I will include a little cheat sheet with this job aid with these guidelines on it, that you can show it to people. This is what I'm trying to do. Tell me how, if I got it right. The best I learned from Ken Blanchard, who I worked with for 10 years. The best management is what you do with people, not what you do to them. So tell them what you're up to. Tell them, yeah, I decide we need to give more recognition around here. This is what I'm going to try to do. Anyone else have some ideas of what you'd like to do? Involve them in it. Find out what would do it for them personally or as a group. If we make our group assignment, do this at the planning stages. If we're able to make this goal, I'm going to be pretty excited. What would you all like to do to celebrate? If we're done with this project 6 months from now, 8 months from now, end of the year, whatever, it's gonna be a lot of work. I'm gonna be very excited about this accomplishment. I'm gonna want to do something to thank you all. What would you like me to do? Asking them up front, that becomes an incentive. Now you tell them what you'll do, and now that's gonna be part of the encouragement to have them do that. And this could be anything. I worked with a company in Seattle. The head of sales said, if we make this goal, I will shave my head. And that became a banter, and I'm gonna be the first to cut some locks off. And sure enough, they made the goal. This guy got in front of the company meeting, and someone with shaved his head, and the people who did the most, they got the first whack at cutting hair. It was just a blast. It was fun. It put focus on the goal and a banter the whole way of achieving it, and he was a great sport. So you can give of yourself and do something, and sometimes giving of yourself, making it more personal, makes it more meaningful to people. I hired a guy from Westinghouse as a sales manager, and he had been in that role for a number of years, and he said that he he took the job, and the sales team he had never made their goal. Okay, and he looked at what was necessary, and as he set it all up, he talked to everyone and talked to the group and said, and by the way, if we make this goal, I will make lunch for the team. And I make a pretty good Caesar salad and I do barbecue, and everyone's, oh, okay, well, whatever. And they made the goal, and he did that. He made it, brought in lunch and barbecue grill and grilled up stuff, and and it was nice, but it resonated. Hey, we're doing a good thing because we did a good thing together, and that was the first time they made their goal. Okay, and then they made the goal the next month and the month after that, and he was on a roll, and he kept doing the make the lunch for people, and wouldn't you know, he got a call from accounting. and he'd been paying for this out of his own pocket, by the way, too, and they said, you don't need to pay for that, we can cover that cost for you. And he said, the heck you will, because once you guys do it, then I know what comes next. It's like, hey, these ribeyes are kind of pricey, how about hamburger this next go around? You're going to undermine it, and it's not going to have the power that it has when people know that I paid for it, and I'm cooking it, and I'm serving it. That personal touch really added the extra energy, where people were personally proud to work for this guy. Okay, so think of what you can give personally, what you can do to someone. Come clean their house, wash their car. That's an easy one. And you can give them a car coupon, or you can have them bring the car in and bring in a bucket and a hose and park the car at the front entrance. And as you're soaping it down, people are at the windows going, "What's going on?" Well, Jerry's washing Tony's car. How come? Well, he made that goal. Oh, now that's the buzz. Everyone's talking about it. They're laughing, they're having a good time, and all because someone made their goal and their manager is noticing it. There you go. In a nutshell, this is on the card you're going to get. I saw what you did. People know what you saw, especially if they're removed or whatever. I appreciate it. In your own words, here's why it's important. You got to provide the context for why that was significant. A context gives value, gives meaning to the praise. And here's how it makes me feel: that 1-2 punch, the tapping into what you have invested in this and in that person. You can praise someone directly, which is best. You can praise them in front of others, which also has a great power. You can praise them when they're not around. Kind of like positive gossip. You know word will get back to them. Your boss was singing your praise at our meeting. Yeah, what did he say? Well, he said we couldn't have finished that project without you, and that you really stepped up your game and inspired others on the team. Really, he said that? Yes, he did. You must really believe it for him to share it with someone else. Wow, how can they help but feel good, you know? So other top motivators, and let me tell you, none of them cost a dime. After the praise is direct, honest, two-way communication. 95% of employees say they want and need that to be able to do their job. 95% asking for employee input and ideas. 92% say they would like to have that. Here, people are saying, ask me how we could save money. Ask me how we can improve service. Ask me, I've got ideas. I want to share them. I want to be included. I want to be involved. How should the cost be to ask people for their opinion, for their ideas? Wow. And yet how often do we do that? And if they have a good idea, give them permission to pursue it. Who's got more energy for that idea than the person who came up with it? Yeah, here's why don't you run with that one? Let me know how I can help you with your idea. I know I worked with one company in Connecticut. They improved their revenues fivefold in a couple-year period simply by doing this, asking for ideas, suggestions from employees. Now they didn't have a suggestion box in the lunchroom with a lock on it that no one ever opens. They had boxes all over the place, and they asked every employee to turn in 2 suggestions each week for how we can improve things around here, how we could save money, how we can better serve customers, how we can streamline processes, how we can cut waste, whatever it was. And just tremendous ideas, fabulous ideas. They didn't implement all of them, but they implemented enough of them to have a drastic impact on their business, on their revenues. And it got so successful that they said, we got to start sharing the wealth here. And they started doing gain sharing based on how much they were saving each quarter. It added up to a couple, $3,000 per employee, got gain sharing just from savings from ideas that people suggested. And the only requirement at that point to get the gain sharing, the quarterly gain sharing, was to keep contributing 2 ideas. If you didn't do that, no problem. You're not getting the gain sharing. So you gotta cough up to be a part of it. And just a fabulous program. I could send you more information about that too. So tell me how I can help you. And I'd be glad to. I wrote a column just about that. It's fabulous. They're still doing it. It's going great. But the power of employee suggestions is overlooked. And is a simple way to getting people more involved and involving them with decision making. 89% of today's employees say they want to be involved in decisions that affect them and their job especially. What does it cost to involve them? Even if you say, hey, I'm the manager, I got to make the final decision, that's my job, but I know it'll be a better decision if I get your input. So who has ideas on how we should handle this? Start with the people that are closest to the problem, the situation. You could be a better decision, and you have greater buy-in before you make the decision because people know what you're doing and they're already on board. Think about it. And focus on career development. Okay. Number one reason why people leave their jobs right now, according to McKinsey, is lack of career development, which has a lot of different aspects to it. So it starts with as easy as, are you excited about what you're doing? Are you interested in learning some new skills? This put you in an assignment that give you some of those skills. Let's talk about that. Let's make a plan, a learning plan for you to put you in line for the next job you want to get in this company. I can't guarantee you that you'll get that, but I can guarantee you if you're working for me, I'll do my best to put you in line for that job and have you up to date with the skills that you need to be qualified for that job. Boy, you can't ask more from a manager than that. And if you do it and you follow up and you're honest about it and you're sincere about it, enormous bond you're creating with that person that you should create with everyone that works for you. And if someone makes a mistake, and of course we all make mistakes, how do you handle that? It's important. You know, you can pile on and tell them what an idiot they are and how stupid they were to make that mistake. And they already know they made a mistake. Now you can embarrass them in front of their peers. Thanks so much. You know, or you could take the high road and take a deep breath and a step back and say, hey, I'm not sure I would have done the same thing, but what'd you learn from that? This could be the best training you had all year. I'm glad you made that mistake. You know, take the high road, talk about the big picture, the long term with that employee. They will notice you did that, and they will respect and value you for having done that, and they will stick working for you longer. I hands down guarantee it. You know, Bill Gates at Microsoft once said you can tell a lot about the long-term viability of any organization simply by looking at how they handle mistakes. Because if you shut people down, they will shut down, and you'll lose part of them. They just won't give you their best. So they'll keep, and that's what happens. A lot of people, they keep getting shut down, and then all of a sudden they're not given anything, and they're just, showing up for work and taking a paycheck. Or you could take the long-term view, and you can have them learn from it and be supportive of them. All these things don't cost a dime. So more ideas for virtual workers. You can have online meeting call outs on Zoom, just calling out what someone did, very simple. You can use electronic thank you cards, and there's no lack of these. Most of them are free. You can find companies that provide these. You can make them yourself, no big deal. You can have a praise barrage. And this is a simple activity. I started to reference this where you got a Zoom meeting. Here's my team. And hey, before we dig in here, I'd like to just go around our group here quickly. And as I call your name, I'd like everyone else to respond with something positive about what they most value about working with you. Let's start with Tony. Okay, now Sally. Okay, now John. And 100% positive. And then at 5-10 minutes later, what has happened? Everyone has gotten personal feedback about something they've done that others in their team have noticed that they did well. They will do more of that, I guarantee you. They'll even do better because people are noticing it. And secondly, you've bound the team tighter together as a unit, because now they're all respecting each other, they're all acknowledging each other, they're all noticing what others are doing. It will be more of a unit going forward. You'll be able to achieve even more with this simple activity, a praise barrage. You got to try it if you haven't. It is definitely works. You can have praise buddies or me pages. I got these ideas from Hyatt, where they do this with their hybrid teams, that they assign one person to someone else. It's kind of like a Secret Santa, but for around. I want you to keep an eye on what that person's doing, and when you see something that's positive or something they've achieved, I want you to comment or do something for them about it. Up to you what you do, and then someone else is doing it for you, and it's everyone's doing it, but it just kind of raises the ante on the topic. And they also do the me pages, where getting to know people, a hybrid, and a little bit harder. So allow people to they have everyone fill out a page of their preferences and hobbies and things they do when they're not at work, and do they have pets, and what are their pets' names and favorite foods and stuff like that, so that people can tap into that when they want to do something meaningful for you. I know like other companies like Wyndham Hotel, they actually have this as part of when people sign up for benefits. They have a sheet, a preference sheet, one page, a dozen questions, and all those answers go to whoever you're reporting to. They get that sheet, and so they know that person a little bit more, even from the first day of work. They know what's important to them and how they can catch them doing things right. Some companies do that more publicly. At the reception desk, there'll be a file for every employee with their preferences, and HR's job is to remind people to update their preferences, and then to remind managers and other colleagues to use people's preferences, to thank them in ways that they would value when they've done a good job. Just helping make the connection. Lots of ways you can do that. You can have applause electronic bulletin boards. Again, if you need more information on something like this, let me know. I work with a lot of vendors that provide these. You can do it with gift cards and points and stuff, or you could just do it behaviorally, just 100%, just public praises and written statements, and just that network. If you don't have set up on Slack, which the challenge with Slack is you can't capture it, how much is done, but there's a lot of places that have a software platform and an app Apps are very important because everyone's got a cell phone. Maybe not everyone has a laptop computer depending on the job, but everyone has a cell phone and they're using it every day. So why not use it in a positive way for stuff at work? And so let me know if you're interested in that. I could give you some people that talk to about that. Simultaneous celebrations is great. It doesn't have to be a big, huge party. It can be something simple. It could be bringing in donuts, you know. But here's what you got to watch out for. You know, you bring in donuts on Friday. That's a nice thing, you know. But then, you know, next Friday it's a nice day out. You bring in donuts again. What's going to happen the third Friday? Where's the donuts? It's Donut Friday after all. And now you find that you're stuck doing it, and and, no, and suddenly it's not fine enough that you brought in donuts. You're taking orders for bear claws and fruit fillings, and can we get some with the little sprinklies on them? And you're going, what's wrong with this picture? I'm trying to do something nice. I actually paid for it out of my own pocket, and here people are complaining about it. Well, what's wrong, my friends, is you slipped on the entitlement slope. Don't do it just to be nice. Do it in response to performance of the group. We made that goal this week. We hit our number. We had a new account come in. Celebrate a success of the group. And while you're doing that, call out individual successes that help to contribute to that group. Or to give you another example, well, during the pandemic, we saw this simultaneous celebrations every day at 7 p.m. in New York, New Jersey, where people went to the windows and banged pans to thank healthcare workers for putting their lives on the line to help save us in the pandemic. I don't think they still do that. They probably still should. People are still dying, but a simple but effective thing that was done. Here's another easy one you could do that I've done. Popcorn lunch. I got beginning of the pandemic. I went to Walmart and I got these. This is a microwave popcorn maker. It's kind of brilliant. I gave one to a neighbor. He said best gift he's ever gotten. and basically you put in the half cup of popcorn kernels. Don't even need oil. Pop it into the microwave. Hit the microwave button for popcorn, and 30 seconds later, you got a bucket of popcorn. So now everyone that works for me, wherever they're located, they've got one of these. And anytime anybody can say, hey, why don't we have some popcorn and talk about this? Let's talk about this success or whatever it may be. And we're able to do so because of this. I think these were $7 each, $9 each, something like that. It doesn't cost much to do the right thing. And for those people that you don't see very often, that are kind of out of sight, so that don't become out of mind, you might consider keeping a recognition log for how much have you tapped into those people. And so when it's been a while, you need to check in with somebody, and that varies. I've learned that some people need it more often than others. Younger people tend to need it more often. Older employee, if they're doing a good job, the best way you can appreciate them is to stay out of their way. Quit bugging me. So it varies. Motivation varies over the course of one's career and on any given circumstance. So it's a moving target. You got to move with it. And so other guidelines for hybrid workers, again, for everybody, start with what they find, what their motivators are, how they like to be recognized. Ask this explicitly. Don't assume because a lot of I do this every company I work with, and they'll start by saying, well, so what do your companies like? How do your employees most like to be recognized? Well, that's easy. They want more money. They want better benefits. They'd like to be promoted more often. Oh, wow, that's what they said? No, that's where we're spending all our money, so it must be what they want. Okay, then. Well, how about I do a focus group or two and find out if that's really what's going on? It'd be easy to confirm that. No, of course, it never has been the same thing. People, I can remember, high-tech employees, these 20-somethings, Indian and Asian, and talking about recognition. This tiny 22-year-old Asian girl, just almost in tears. I just wish someone would recognize me. I work hard. I make my deadlines. I'll work through the weekend. No one ever says or notices, and it tears me up. You just want to give her a hug and say, we're working on it. Because it doesn't take that much to connect to someone and really make them feel special. And it starts with finding out what would do it for them, and try that if you haven't, because you'll get important information that you can use. Do at least what you're doing for in-office employees for the people virtually. Again, a lot of times they already feel like they're out of sight, out of mind. So we do something informally around the office, and the people virtually didn't get to connect, didn't get to be a part of it, even in meetings. I know some companies that have gotten these bobbleheads and put the remote employees' names on them so they could be on the conference table, so that we even though they're not here, we know that they're part of this meeting, and we can call on them because there's a reminder there that they're listening. The more we can do to make them be visible, the better. Do even more for virtual employees, and call in, check in with them. In fact, initially in the pandemic, employee engagement shot up because managers, for many of them, the first time they had to start calling their employees to see what was going on because they weren't in the office anymore. And the employee perspective on that, it made them feel special, and their level of engagement shot up. It tailored off after that, but that's the impact of just checking in, and follow up with face-to-face recognition whenever possible. So if you're hiring someone in a virtual job and they're going to be virtual, maybe initially have them come to the office. My wife in virtual job she had was out of Austin. They were gonna pay to have us move to Austin, and I said no thanks. I like San Diego, and Austin's a great town, but and she told them that, and they go, well, we still want you to work for us, and she worked for them virtually for a couple of years, and the first week or two they flew her there to meet the team and to see who to talk to when she has problems, and to get all the equipment she needs, and to get oriented on the mission, all that, to make her feel part of the company. So you got to do that, and if for a virtual employee, maybe do a piece of that up front. Some other ideas, and I know we're running down on time here, but just fun ones. Golden Banana Award at Hewlett Packard. A software engineer burst into his manager's office. You won't believe it. I fixed the problem, solved that software bug. Been working on it for weeks. His manager, knowing the importance of a time of the recognition, literally groped around his desk, hands his senior software technician a banana from his lunch with the words, "Great job. I knew you could do it." Now, I'm not sure how you'd feel if your boss gave you a banana one day, but this guy was pretty excited. He showed everyone the banana the boss gave him and why. Took on a story of its own. Today in that division, Hewlett Packard, 17 years later, the most prestigious award for technical achievement is the Golden Banana Award. Not the same banana. They moved it to a plaque, and in fact, when you find something that works, work with it to make more out of it. They started giving people that got that little lapel pin of a banana wearing their name tags at a site they could be seen as a high achiever. Worked very well. Give you a couple more here real quick. Pass around trophies as they do at OPM. Very simple thing, doesn't cost anything. Core value tokens at Busch Gardens in Tampa. They give all the leaders these tokens that say, making friends is our business, thanks. And they say, when you see an employee doing one of your core values, give them one of these tokens. So for them, the core values, safety, customer service, teamwork. Someone chips in to help carry boxes without being asked, give them a token. And someone's making lemonade in a long line on a hot day. People should be miserable, but they're having fun because the guy's getting them laughing and stuff. You've got a gift for service. Here's a token for you. And the employees can turn these into payroll, get an extra $20 in the next paycheck. No one has ever turned one of them in because this means something to them. They hold on to it. They keep it. Naming days after employees. Cameo, if you haven't done it, check it out. You can get famous personalities, athletes, to do a personal message to one of your employees. This guy on the right here, this guy looks like Elvis. He sounds like Elvis. He talks like Elvis, and he plays Elvis songs. I hired him to thank someone for me. I think it was $50. best $50 I ever spent. You did a wonderful, wonderful job. And there's thousands of people like that you can have thank someone for you. You can do team building experiences, and again, you should do that. And don't forget to have fun. Actually, my latest book is about fun. Work Made Fun Gets Done, which covers
And speaking of the book here, Bob, and I want to be respectful to everyone's time. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. How can they claim their free book? Will you be sending that out in a follow-up?
Yes.
email?
Yes,
Okay.
I will. And thank you so much for that, Zach, because that takes us to the free books. So I've mentioned several books here. I've actually done 31. I'm working my 32nd on Lessons from Steve Jobs. This
Can't
is one.
stop writing.
Yeah, I can't stop writing. I got the itch, you know.
Yeah.
This one actually won the best business book when it came out. And I'd be glad to
Perfect.
send you a copy of this. I have to apologize because I've run out of copies, so I've got to order more, and so it might be a couple weeks before I can get you yours. But if you send me
Yeah,
your
everyone. Yep.
your email address, not your email address. I take that back. Send me to my email address your preferred mailing address. This could be your work address or it could be your home address. I don't care, but where you want the book to come to, and I will send that to you. Okay.
Awesome.
Give me a couple weeks, and then that's info about me. If you're interested in having me do this webinar, or I've got a dozen others on all sorts of topics related to this, I'd be glad to talk with you about that. And if you have I know we're down on time here, but if you do have a question, I want to throw in a bonus fun little book for you for anyone that has a question. It could be a written question as well, and
Love
that's you're doing a freaking great job. This is just
it.
pure goodness. It's 150 positive aspirations, each done by a different graphic artist. It's like giving someone pure goodness, and you get one of these too if you have a question for me.
I love it.
Any of those at this point, I'd be glad to take them.
We're gonna have to close out, unfortunately, here as we're at the hour. But shoot your questions to Dr. Bob directly. You see his contact information there. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them and send an extra copy here. Also, we'll follow up with your contact information for those that attended, so you can also get your free book and send them your address. Otherwise, thank you everyone for
Zach, I will, for the questions that we did get, I'd be glad to write out replies and give those back to you. You can send to everyone or post it.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll have some follow-up information via email with the recording. I also posted the credits information, but we'll have those in a follow-up email as well if you're trying to claim your Shermer
as well as a PDF of the slides as well.
Perfect.
So
yeah,
lots of stuff coming your way, and I think even I'm including
we need an entire day
an e-doc of 101 of the best no-cost and low-cost rewards. You guys we're loading you up here. So.
Yeah, you'll need a whole weekend to kind of back through this. So. Well, appreciate everyone jumping in. Have a wonderful rest of your days. In the spirit of appreciation, we appreciate you showing up today and investing in yourselves and really leading the way within your own teams and organizations and building a better world of work. So have a great rest of your evenings. And we
thank you so much.
Soon.